Hello, and welcome to today's virtual European experience. I'm Kathy Wood, founder of European Experiences, along with my husband Charlie, and we're delighted to have you with us today to travel from home through this virtual experience. So today we're going to be traveling back to the Chianti region of Tuscany, where we'll be joined by our very good friends Arianna Cini and Alessio di Genova, and I'll tell you more about them in a minute. We have 64 people registered for the program today, so welcome. We have people from Italy, France, the UK, New Zealand, and then many from the USA, really all across the country. So for those of you who are with us for the first time, let me just tell you a quick overview of how the program will work. Now, we have our fingers crossed today that all will go well with Zoom, but please be patient with us if we have any technical issues. We're also actually working through one right now. We're coordinating across the Atlantic, and some of us have an older computer and live in a small town in the countryside. We do have a few very short videos, and I believe they may be just a little bit jerky, but I think you will still enjoy them very much. I'll be back later to help with the Q&A session and to handle some wrap-up information. Now, if you have a question or if you have an issue at any time, you can type it in using the Q&A box at the bottom of the Zoom screen. And I may answer some in writing during the program, but otherwise we'll have about 10 minutes at the end for Q&A with Arianna, Alessio, and myself. At the end of the session, a short survey will pop up. If you have time to answer that today, that would be great. Otherwise, we'll send a follow-up email tomorrow with a link to the same survey. Just don't respond twice. We really appreciate your feedback. There's no charge for any of these sessions, but we really want to recognize the time and effort of our presenters. So today, Arianna and her husband, Alessio, whose businesses have been seriously impacted by the pandemic and the huge drop-off in tourism. So if you enjoy the session and you can, we hope you consider making a small donation. We suggest $10 to $20, and 100% of any donations will go to Arianna and Alessio. You'll find information about how to make a donation on our website, www.european-experiences.com/payments. I will show this at the end of the program, and I'll also have it in the follow-up email tomorrow. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. And we can have Alessio and Arianna join us. Are we joining by face or voice, Arianna?
We are here.
Okay.
Ciao a tutti.
Hi, everybody.
So let me give just a short introduction to them, and they'll tell you a little bit more about themselves. They're both natives of Tuscany. Arianna actually from the Chianti area, and they now live in Chianti. And I have to tell you, I like and respect this couple so much. They are passionate, they're creative, they're very knowledgeable about the area, and they have lots of really wonderful friends. In fact, we share some mutual friends. We met them about 4 years ago, soon after they started their travel company, KM0 Tours. And we found instantly that we had a very similar philosophy of travel and that we had many of the same partners there in the area. So some of you may already know Arianna. She was involved with our Chianti Experience groups in 2018 and 2019. Or perhaps you've even toured with Arianna and Alessio. And this is her second virtual experience program with us. So my husband, Charlie, is now mostly retired, and Arianna and Alessio and I are the team for the Chianti Experience. And we were so sorry we couldn't welcome groups together this year, but we are really looking forward to hosting groups, very hopeful, next year. They have an interesting program to share with us today. I really think you'll enjoy learning more about Tuscany at this time of year when really not very many tourists do visit. And I've also asked them to tell you a little bit about a new project that they've been working on. So let me turn it over to you.
Great. Ciao a tutti, and thanks so much, Kathy, for allowing us to be here today with you. So yeah, it's Alessio and I, we have prepared in the last few days a beautiful program and virtual journey to invite you here in Chianti with us and enjoy this November here in Tuscany and all the beauties that are with it. Okay, so now if you agree, we have, we are ready for showing you this beautiful presentation, and then we'll come back live at the end for any questions and you may have during the slides. Okay, so I'll see you in a second. Okay, so this is the title, November Tuscan Treasures: The Magic Behind Olive Harvest and Truffle Hunting in Chianti. Okay, so this is a little bit the main themes, but together with those themes, we'll be having a lot of other products and delicious recipes that we will be sharing with you in a second. So this is us a few years ago when we were young. So Arianna and Alessio from KM0 that I already told you, we are partners in life and in work, and we have established this small business, this small tour company. The name is KM0 Tours, which is all about bringing travelers and bringing new friends from all over the world to meet our life and our best favorite places and favorite people here in Tuscany, and experience with us our Tuscany, so our home, to be invited to our friends' homes and to experience what Tuscany is for us. The name KM0 refers to 0 kilometers, so 0 distance between you as visitors and the people you will meet, in order to have a more meaningful experience and to have memories to be treasured for a long time. So again, we are so grateful to be here today, and I would say let's begin the journey to better understand what fall is here in Tuscany, and what, especially in November, what it brings of flavors and colors and tastes and recipes. We'll have a lot to share, so let's begin. Let's begin with the colors. First of all, November in Tuscany really means wonderful colors. As you can see, vineyards, they start to turn yellow and red. The pictures you see on the left is the American grapevine, which is not really used for wines, but we use it to adorn every home and villa here in Tuscany. And in this time of the year, the leaves, they turn into red, and it's beautiful. This specific door leads to an olive oil space. We'll learn more about it from Janet and Stefano, and they call it the 7 elephants. There's more. It looks like every grapevine which goes down, it looks like an elephant. So it's a very, very beautiful image. This other image is, of course, is our Chianti region, and in this case, those are Sangiovese grapes, and in the beautiful yellow color. This is interesting. I didn't know myself until just a few years ago. I thought that, and I was wondering why some grapes, they turn into red color and some others, they turn into yellow color. And I was thinking in the beginning that it was the different exposition to the light. But then we realized that it was according to the different grape varieties. So some grape varieties, they tend to turn into red color. Some others, they turn into yellow colors. So it's beautiful because when you get to this time of the year, you really can recognize each grape variety very, very easily. So without being an expert. So here, some of you may recognize it from the other webinar we had with Kathy about a month ago, or maybe some of you have seen it with us for real. This is the beautiful golden valley of Panzano, and you can easily understand why it is called golden, because especially now, like in the past few weeks, it really is like this. I took these pictures just 2 days ago. It is gorgeous because all the leaves are turning yellow and it's really becoming golden. Let's get into a little bit more into the detail of the olive harvest. So this is again Alessio and I, and Alessio's brother. We were at some friend's house doing the experience in the olive harvest firsthand. So a little bit about the olive harvest. So first of all, the olive harvest happens only once in a year. Which in Tuscany usually happens in the late fall, so in this time of the year, from mid-October until early December. There are 2 different kinds of olive trees. One is for olive oil and the other one is for table olives. So a lot of people, usually one of the most common questions I've been asking this year, it is that, do you produce also table olives here? We do produce them, but it's not our main focus. Most of the trees here are all for olive oil. We do have a big amount of olive trees here in Tuscany. Most of the people think of Chianti. Chianti is wine, of course, but olive oil is really as important as the wine in terms of importance for us in our cuisine, but also as important in terms of surface of cultivated land. It is really almost equal, the amount of olive trees and the amount of vineyards. So it's a beautiful thing for you to know is that every time when we have guests during this time of the year, they see these beautiful olive trees, plenty of olives, and they, of course, each of them ask me, can we taste them straight from the tree? And I say, of course you can, but you know, it's not the best. It's not the best experience because they're bitter, they're watery. It's not what you expect. And so, and of course, they don't believe in me. So as soon as I turn my face, they try, and then of course they're not that pleased. And I was like, okay, I told you. But you know, it's this is an interesting thing to know about olives and olive trees. The last thing, just as a small introduction, 2 seconds to for you to understand what extra virgin means. So if extra virgin, what it means exactly, and if it's really important to see it, if it's not important, if it's something essential, if it's something optional. It is essential in the sense that extra virgin means first press, cold press, and obtain the olive oil is obtained only using mechanical systems. First press means that you do only the very first press. You cannot have a second press for olive oil. We learned from a month ago, we had a webinar about the grape harvest and about the wine, and we learned how from the first press you could obtain the Chianti Classic, so the top level wine, but then you could also have a second press of the grapes and to obtain the table wine, which was perfect, right? For the olives, it's totally different. You only obtain one press because only the 13 from 10 to 15% from an olive becomes olive oil. The rest is waste. So the olive oil content is too little to allow a second press unless you use chemistry or you use, anyway, you add chlorophyll or any other thing which is not, you know, the best. So first press, cold press, only using mechanical system. Those are the 3 essential, let's say, characteristic for an extra virgin olive oil. Okay. So which kind of olives? Olive trees are really like vineyards. So as for the vineyards, we talk about Merlot, Cabernet, Sangiovese. We have the same variety for olive oil. For some reason, when we talk about the olive oil, we just say olive oil. We don't really talk about the varieties, but it is really the same thing. We have in Italy so many different varieties. Everywhere you go, you find different varieties. So it's interesting because this diversity of trees give birth to a totally different olive oil. So it's always an excuse. Every time we travel, we always want to say it's olive oils because they're totally different. In Tuscany, we have 3 main kind of trees, of olive trees, which is Leccino, Moraiolo, and Frantoio. And those 3, let's say, they give birth to the Tuscan olive oil, which it is rich in the flavor, and you know, it's has a very specific taste and color and smell. So when it's the right time to harvest, this is another thing. In the whole Italy, we harvest in different stage. So in the south of Italy, mostly people tend to wait until the olives are ripe and they let them, well, now they are turning into the Tuscan way, but let's say it used to be that people used to wait until they were kind of falling. So usually they were waiting until they were all turning black. Because something interesting to know is that the olives, like any other fruit, at the beginning is green, like the grapes or like any other fruit. And then when they become ripe, they turn into the black color. So in the south of Italy, they used to wait until the olives were fully ripe, and then they were harvesting. In Tuscany, we have a different tradition. We harvest the olives when they are changing the color. So we want to have, in the same case, we want to have different colors. We want to have the green ones for the beautiful flavors. We want to have the one in the between. You will see some of the olives are maybe half black and half green, and then we want to have the black ones as well, because it is, you know, thanks to the black ones, of course, that you obtain then the juice of the olive oil. So it's really what we want to obtain. Something to know, it is, you see, like for example, here in the previous picture, the olives were mostly green. In this picture, the olives are mostly black. It depends. But the thing is, it's never either or. It's always, let's say, always a mix of flavors. In this case, I wanted to show you this picture. This is not, like, they are still unripe. So this is probably, it is around July, this picture. In any case, it is in the summer. So again, the harvest is then in the late fall. This is probably July, August, beginning of September. So they're still unripe. What it's interesting to know about this picture is, I don't know if you can notice that there's a kind of blue spray on the leaves. And this blue spray, it is totally fine in the sense that it's allowed in the organic system. It is sulfur and copper and sulfur, and it stays just on the surface of the olives. It doesn't go inside. That's why it's allowed in the organic system, and it protects the olives from the fly. The fly is it's a very bad disease. In 2014. We had this disease. It was awful. It just ruined the whole production in the whole Tuscan region. It is called the olive fly. It is a kind of fly which basically lays the eggs inside the olives, and then it ruins the olives. So if you don't spray this, then these olives, these flies, they can ruin your whole production. So it is an organic way to protect your olives and to, let's say, to guarantee a good harvest. So this is, let's get a little bit into the process. This is, let's say, how we let's say, how people harvest. This is, of course, a case. As you can see, people have nets, so they tend to display the nets on the ground, and then with some rakes, as you can see here, there is a picture of me harvesting. With some rakes, you just come the olives which fall into the net, and then you collect all the olives and you pour them into the case, and then you move to the mill. Here again, it's me at this friend's house. I was carrying this case with the rake in my hand, just as a proof that I was working. So olive cases are then to be taken to the mill to be pressed within 48 hours from the time they were harvested. So this is important to know. The quicker you are, the best will be your olive oil. This is totally different from the wine. So to be quick is essential for olive oil production. The best would be to harvest, go to the mill and enjoy it within the same day. But let's say it's difficult, especially for small little farms. It's difficult to coordinate, and then you may have some rain because, of course, it's November. So let's say, but the quicker you do everything, the quicker you harvest, you press, and then you enjoy it, the better it is. This is a big basket. When you have those smaller cases and you arrive at the oil mill, and at that point you pour them all into a big basket, which contains pretty much 20 of the smaller cases you have seen before. So at that point, this is provided from the oil mill, which is a public mill. So it's not that you go to, almost no one has from the private people a private mill. You basically you harvest your grove, and then with your olives you bring them to a public mill. You pay for the service, and then you come back home with your own olive oil. That's how it works. It's important to see that you have a number 57 in this case. It's important because you want absolutely to be sure that you're going to have the olive oil you made, and not from the olives from somebody else. So you have this number because you arrive there and they say, okay, your number is the 57, and you just follow the whole process, and then you're very sure that the olive oil which comes out comes from your olives. So what happens in the meal? Once in the meal, olives are first cleaned from the leaves and then washed. This is important to know because some, as you could see also in the previous pictures, as you can see also in this picture here, leaves are, you know, accidentally they fall into the box, because once you count the olives, of course, then some of the leaves may fall in your box. It's funny to know that in the past there was a legend among the farmers which said that leaves helped the olive oil to be even more green, which is only a legend, of course. It's not absolutely, it's not a real fact. But let's say, just for you to know that in the past, really people wanted on purpose to have a lot of leaves in order to have a green olive oil. So you basically then, so you arrive at the meal, they put it in this big basket, then they pour everything in a big container and they wash. So they remove first the leaves and then they wash. Here you can see some little videos of how the olives, they fall into this big container. And then they go up. And then here you don't see it, but it's where the leaves are removed. There is a proper machine which divides the leaves from the olives. Here they're washed. You see, they're washed because the spray I showed you before, of course, it stays in the surface and it has to be removed. And then, you know, you never know, some insects or something. So you want to have them properly washed. And then you, there are several steps. The first step is one machine which basically either smash or cut, slice them, let's say, slice all the olives, they mash them together with the pit, together with the stone. The stone is crushed together with the rest. And so it crashes and it becomes like an olive paste, which you can see in this little video here, which I made a few days ago. Here, if you pay attention, you see the olive paste which turns. Okay, so that is then after that it goes in a centrifuge which separates the liquid part from the oily part, and then that's of course this is the big celebration. This is the big moment which everyone waits with a lot of excitement every year. So the gold green olive oil. This is again Alessio and I, super excited for the Olive Nuovo. The Olive Nuovo is such a big celebration because you cannot imagine the smell. The smell there, it's the whole room is with this wonderful smell, which is incredible, and the color and the excitement. You wait for the whole year for that moment. This is, so the picture on the left you see is a stainless steel tank. Each tank contains pretty much 50 liters. Imagine that from one olive tree, pretty much you obtain about 3 liters of olive oil, and this is 50 liters each. Okay, which is pretty much maybe enough for Alessio and I for a year. Everyone is obsessed with the olive oil here. This is just for you to understand how green it is at the beginning. And the lady on your right, you will see her in a second. She's Livia. She's a friend of us. So now this is, we'll be sharing a few videos which were made by a friend of us who works in one of the most awarded oil mills in Chianti. The name of the mill is Cronesi. They are doing an excellent work. They were one of the first ones believing in olive oil. They decided to focus only on olive oil, and they see wine as a secondary product, which in Chianti is very unusual. Everyone is giving more importance to the wine, and then, you know, and then the olive oil is just something they put on the table to enjoy. They instead believed in olive oil from the very first moment. And they have decided to invest the highest technology. They have been collaborating also with the University of Florence to, you know, for further research, etc. Emanuele, he's really an expert about olive oil, and he's going to share with us how to professionally taste olive oil. You will see something very unusual. But let's say, I think very interesting for you to understand how to really pay attention to the taste of the olive oil without being confusing from any other food.
Ciao, Emanuele from Frantoio Pruneti. Now we're presenting the olive oil from the new crop that we're extracting right now. It's a moment that for us is real magic, and we would like to share with you. In the period of October and November, here in Tuscany, in Chianti, is a moment that is unique. People waiting for 1 year to have this. The green, spicy, bitter olive oil can really change the flavors of your meals. Ciao! Let's taste together. You have to place the glass we always in your hand that so that the temperature of is not. Let's taste together for the first time of the year. Important to be seen whenever you're going to choose or judge a product, and it is correct. But when after 1 year you see this one, it's pure emotion. Now I will teach you how we do taste this one. You have to place the glass in your hand so that with the temperature of your body, you can warm the olive oil as is in here. Then you close the glass with the other hand so you catch the smell here inside. More temperature, more volatile, more aroma for your nose to feel. Olives, leaves, field, grass. This is the real smell an olive oil should have. Now we have to taste. These strange things that I'm doing are meant to bring better the taste in every part of your mouth, because you have to feel the flavor in here as well as in your throat. So you have to move it this way. And now I have the complete feeling of the olive oil. Right in the beginning, slightly spicy in the end of your mouth, very spicy, very peppery down your throat, and this bitter, viscous sensation that you have all along your mouth that you will bring for a long time, so persistent. Nothing better to feel Tuscan than grilling a slice of bread and drizzle this on the top.
So I hope you have enjoyed this professional olive oil tasting given by our friend Emanuele. It is, of course, not what we do every day, but it is the real way to taste the olive oil. Of course, olive oil is not supposed to be drinking. It's not like a wine. But let's say if you really want to focus on the characteristic and the taste, this is what the experts do. But as Emanuele suggested, the best way then to enjoy it. And so now we have been learning about how to properly taste the olive oil. Now, of course, there is the second step, which is the enjoyment. So we'll share some other small videos about how Tuscan people enjoy the olive oil with what we call fettunta, which is basically, as you can see here, we are at Janet and Stefano's house. Some of you may have already been. Some of you hopefully will come and will see everything in person. This is the fettunta. It is the grilled bread with new olive oil spread on top. The lady is again Livia. She is Janet's daughter, and she, as you can see, she's pouring generously the olive oil, because of course the olive oil has to be poured in a generous amount. Then here you have another very important recipe with the olive oil, which is the chickpeas garbanzo, which again, like the bread, they help enhancing the taste of the olive oil. So these two things, they're really Tuscan. Here you see a beautiful image of the fettunta. It is called this way because it's fetta unta, so it's oily slice of bread, which is a big protagonist on our tables. Now again, another beautiful picture of Janet and Livia, mother and daughter, in this beautiful table. On the left, you see the cannellini beans, which is another Tuscan recipe, perfect for tasting the olio nuovo, so the new olive oil. And on the right, again, the schiacciata with a lot of olive oil on top. So now another big treasure of November is the saffron. Okay, saffron is another flower which blooms in this time of the year. So it's another harvest typical from November. The golden treasure, saffron, it is, let's say, a crocus which blooms in November. So from October until, let's say now, the mid of November. And now I would love to share with you something about this very prestigious and delicious spice, spice as well. So here is Olivia again. She loves the saffron, and so she decided to plant a few plants of saffron in her garden. Here you can see the beautiful crocus is purple, and it has 3 stigmas, only 3 stigmas. Each flower has only 3 stigmas, and most of the time one plant does only 1 flower each time. So it's a labor of love because you have to harvest by hand, each by each, so really one by one. And then here on the right, you see how those stigmas, they are displayed carefully and then dried. So here there's Livia harvesting by hand all these beautiful crocuses. So you can see that the plants are very, very tiny and small. So of course you need to be bent. It's not the best, it's not ideal, because you need to stay for several hours, but the result is wonderful. And that's the next step. It is Livia carefully cleaning and preparing every flower. As you can see, she needs the 3 orange stigmas. That's the thing she needs. The rest is all waste, you see, and you need to be very careful, and each, like one by one, you need to do everything by hand like that. So now let's get into the food, because of course we are in Italy, and here at least it's dinner time. So saffron risotto with ossobuco. With saffron, you can cook so many different recipes. This is one, the most famous one, the Milanese, risotto alla Milanese, so the saffron risotto. Here you can see Stefano, who is Janet's husband, preparing this ossobuco. I don't know, maybe some of you may have heard of this dish. It is called ossobuco because of there's the bone with the hole. It's beef. It's like a beef stew, which is delicious. And the tradition says that you should cook this stew and then pair it on top of the risotto. Some of them prefer just to have the plain risotto, like the picture you have on the left. Some others, they prefer to have the full experience, like with this ossobuco as well. Then again, about the food, castagnaccio. Castagnaccio is another big protagonist on our table during this time of the year. Castagna in Italian means chestnut, and castagnaccio is a local sweet, seasonal sweet from this time of the year. Let's learn a little bit more about it. It's, of course, the main ingredient is chestnuts, but then as you can see, there's also raisins, there's pine nuts, there's rosemary, and of course, new olive oil, which is always present. It is a very unique dessert. We eat it at the end of the meal. And here you can see Janet, you have seen it also in the other pictures, who is offering this delicious dessert. So again, chestnuts, but cooked in a different way. Again, here is plenty of chestnut at this time of the year. So those are Tuscans also love the roasted chestnuts. Okay, so here you can see this beautiful video of how we make it. This was in our home, so this is really like our meal of a few days ago. We have the fireplace right behind us right now, and with the fireplace on, you just put the roasted chestnuts, you cut them in half, and then you roast them for about 30 minutes, and then they're ready to be enjoyed. Last, let's say, last big protagonist of this slideshow is the truffle. The truffle is the king of the forest of the fall season, and I will now tell you some things about it. The fascinating world of truffles. So, first of all, truffles, you have many seasons for truffles. You have two main kinds of truffles. One is the white truffle, the other one is the black truffles. They are underground mushrooms. Okay, so it's the only underground mushrooms we can find in nature. And they are composed by 70% of water. They smell only when they are ripe. So we may walk in a wood and walk on like, I don't know, hundreds of truffles, which we cannot find because they're still not smelling, because they're still not ripe. Maybe we go back the day after and they are ripe, and so it's beautiful because it's basically impossible to be controlled. Let's say, as you can see, there's the truffle hunter, Luigi. You will learn more about it, and the dog. So the dog is the big protagonist of together with the hunter of the truffle hunting. A lot of people, another big question I've been asked, it was like, is it pigs, dogs? Is it both? Is it only one of those? Both pigs and dogs can find truffles. This is for sure. The thing is, pigs, first of all, are very big, and so it's difficult for them to be quick in the forest. They move not that quick. And also, it is impossible to train a pig. So once the pigs find the truffle, then they eat the truffle. There's no way you can stop them and to say, you know, that truffle is for me and it is not for you. So pigs, in the end, they're not used. It's a little bit like a legend. We only use the dogs. Dogs needs to be trained. It's not an easy process. It can take up to 2 years to train a dog. Any dog can be trained in theory. Usually a good size is a medium size, so not too small, not too big. It has to be pretty much medium. And especially, like, the most important, they need to be puppies. So you need to train them when they are puppies. If they are adults, it's too late. So it takes about 2 years to train them. You start, of course, feeding them with truffles, of course, not using the best quality ones, maybe the old ones, so that they can understand the taste. And then slowly you switch into the treat, which is what of course the dogs they want to have at the end of the training. This is in the woods. This is Luigi. Then I will tell you more about him in a second. And those are some great videos we took the other day about what happens once you are in the woods. Luigi is a wonderful friend and truffle hunter. He hunts in the woods around Certaldo, which is a beautiful medieval hamlet here in Chianti. As you can see, there's the dog. The dog first finds the truffle. Once the dog finds the spot, at that point, the hunter needs to stop the dog, and he gave the treat. I don't know if you noticed, because you need the dog to be away, otherwise he would eat the truffle and he would just destroy, maybe by digging, destroy the soil. So at that point, once the dog is kept away, he is using this tool to be precise, because again, the most difficult thing is that you don't want to break the truffle, because once the truffle is broken, you lose the value. And then here, he's slowly trying to see for the truffle, to search for the truffle. And as you can see, here it is. So it was really hidden, but thanks to the dog, and then thanks, of course, to his expertise, he could find it. So here it is. And of course, he's greeting, he's saying bravo, bravo to Ricciolo. The name of the dog is Ricciolo, which means curly, because it has curly hair. he is a Lagotto, which is one of the most, let's say, famous breed for truffles. So here you can see the truffle we found. So I was very proud in showing the prize of our hunt. And then on the right, you see a porcino mushroom, which is also very important for our cuisine. Now you will learn more. So here again, it's Luigi and Ricciolo together. Luigi is smelling the truffle just to make sure every time he is searching every morning for truffles, but every time is an emotion and he wants to make sure that he's the first one smelling. And this is, of course, is the truffle in the cloth. Here you can see other kind of mushrooms. So the beautiful experience, you can go in the forest in any time of the year, especially for the black ones. They are, you can search for black truffles in the spring, in the summer, and in the fall as well. So, but the very special thing to go in the forest right now in the fall is that together with the truffles, you can find so many other mushrooms. So this is a little video about Luigi being in the forest. The other day, our main goal was to find truffles, and in the end we ended up with a whole meal prepared. This is a porcino, which is another, it was unexpected. It was plenty of mushrooms everywhere. So in the end, we just started to harvest whatever was. Of course, no, just I'm laughing, but you need to have a license to be in the forest. Like Luigi, he's expert. He knows everything about his truffles and any other mushrooms. I would never be able to go in the forest because, of course, it's very dangerous if you don't know what you're harvesting. Then, of course, in the kitchen. So let's see how to enjoy those truffles. Here it's some of one of the main, let's say, recipes for truffles. One tip is every time you have truffles, make sure you have something very delicate to pair with. Otherwise, it may overcome the taste of the truffle. For example, tomato sauce would not be the best because it's just too strong. Okay, so on the left, you see a pumpkin soup, which is a very delicate and plain taste, which works perfect together with the truffles. In the middle, you have the eggs. We'll have more eggs later, which is another very famous and perfect pairing. And then we do have here on the right, Antonella, and this lovely lady who is slicing truffles on the mushrooms. So in this case, it's really like an explosion for truffle, for mushrooms lovers. Here, it
è un tartufo nero invernale.
So it's
in my opinion, very good. Guarda, è bello.
Bellissimo.
È più scuro anche dentro.
Buona
Sì, è scuro e very pungent.
So this is another big recipe with the pasta. So in any case, you can cook really a lot of other recipes with truffles, but then we wait for you here for more. So every year is a big celebration. You know, like from the olive oil to the truffles to the saffron, is really a lot of flavors, a lot of things. Our countryside is really plenty of things to share, and we can't wait, of course, for you to come here for real and to experience everything. So now, so see you soon in Toscana. So I hope you have enjoyed, let's say, this preview and I mean this introduction of November in Tuscany. We would love to introduce just for a second to another little project that we began, which is the Christmas gift boxes. So as it has been a challenging year for everyone, and you know, for the travelers who couldn't come, for all of us, of course, who could not welcome visitors this year, we thought to begin a new small gift, new project, let's say, about let's say where we can ship these beautiful boxes to overseas, to, let's say, to people, to Italy lovers in all over the world. Okay, so it is a project we just began, and it is a wonderful way to stay connected and for, you know, for for travelers to stay connected with Italy and to support our community. And so we have decided, and to, let's say, to try to experience Christmas the Italian way. So this is one of the example box, let's say, we have prepared for some guests, and we have included some of the most traditional sweets and products we enjoy for Christmas, from the panettone, which is traditional sweet originally from Milan, but we enjoyed it all over Italy, to the rizzarelli, which is a beautiful, like delicious almond cookies originally from Siena, to torrone, to, of course, the olio nuovo from the same oil mill you have been hearing about from Emanuele, and then from chocolate to olio passé, to a beautiful Christmas ornament, which we thought, it has been handmade for us by some friends who have a beautiful studio in a village here with the Chianti landscape, to cantucci, the Tuscan biscotti, to the artisanal pasta. In any case, and also, for example, here there's also the salt, flavor salt from Panzani in Chianti, from a local butcher, Dario Cecchini, to make your meals even more special. So in any case, we are very excited for you to share with you this new small project.
Okay, I'm going to ask one question to begin that came in before the program. What's the weather like this time of year? What kind of weather are you having?
This is a good question. So we have, yesterday was actually San Martino. Yeah. So we have, in November, we have a day which is San Martino, and we say Estate di San Martino. So the summer of San Martino, which is an unexpected summer, let's say summer in the sense that we have been eating outside for lunch in these days. The weather has been gorgeous. It's apparently it's what usually happens. So in November, I remember when you, Kathy, you came to visit. I remember we had outside.
Yeah, we ate lunch outside as well. So beautiful time of year. And we don't do our tours in Tuscany then, but if anybody is interested to visit Tuscany in the late fall, Arianna and Alessio, I'm sure, would give you a wonderful program, and you could reach out to them. Now, a couple of people, I've got 3 questions here asking about the gift boxes and how you order those. And in the follow-up email that I'll send tomorrow, I will include a link to their website, and you can, and also Arianna's email, and you can just deal with her directly. Charlie and I were lucky. They sent us a little preview box, and we've been eating the cookies, and we had some of the panaforte after dinner last night. So there's all sorts of wonderful, wonderful treasures there. We have another question. Do all crocus stamen produce edible saffron, or is it a special? Is it a special?
It is a special. It is a special. There are many crocuses, but let's say the saffron flower comes from a special crocus, which is the saffron crocus. Absolutely.
Yeah, I said to Arianna when we went through the program the other day that after I saw what Livia was going through to get those little stamen out, I realized why saffron was so expensive. You didn't get much, but it was quite expensive, and now we know why. So, do we have other questions? Do we have any other questions? I think not. So if anybody does think of a question later that you'd like to pass along, feel free to drop me an email, and we'll get you an answer, and we really appreciate you being here today. If everybody could just stay for 1 minute, we will say a big thank you to Alessio and Arianna for this wonderful program and a look at November in Tuscany. So I'll give you a virtual applause on behalf of everyone. And I have just a couple of closing comments, and I will bring up my slides. So thank you guys very much. Ciao.
Ciao, thank you.
Thank you.
I do want to tell you how to make a donation, and then just a little bit about what we do in Tuscany. So the donations, and we have really, I'll tell you, we've really been so appreciative of the donations that have been made to our programs in the last couple of months. And on behalf of all of the folks who've been leading these sessions, it really means a lot in a year when income has been very little. But the donation is totally voluntary. We decided we did not want to impose a front-end charge for the programs, and European Experiences is covering the banking fees, so 100% will go to Arianna and Alessio for today. And just if you can, a small donation, $10 to $20, every bit helps. And you can pay through Venmo, TransferWise, PayPal, or a number of people have sent a check. Some people are sending money to cover several programs at one time. So if you do that, if you could just make a note somehow of what programs or what people to go to, that would help me with my bookkeeping. And we have a link on our website, which includes the links to PayPal and Venmo. And if you don't have something to write with now, I will include this as well in our follow-up tomorrow. We do offer a wonderful trip in Tuscany, the Chianti Experience. We've been hosting this trip for about 10 years. Been involved with Arianna and Alessio for 2 years, and they will be really full-time working with me on this next year. And the picture here, that's actually Janet, who you saw with her daughter Livia and her husband Stefano. We do a wonderful lunch at their house. It is really a highlight of the trip, and we were introduced to Janet through Arianna and Alessio. But our trip is 7 nights. We stay in the wine village of Castellina in Chianti. We have a variety of different kind of experiences. We visit 2 very famous towns, Siena and San Gimignano, but we really love the small villages. The meals, of course, we're in Italy, are spectacular, and especially several meals in private homes. And our groups have a max of 14 people. Now, we do have 2 trips planned for next year. We're really hoping that these will be possible. And we do have openings in both weeks. And I know if you're not feeling comfortable to make any kind of a commitment on a trip 6 months from now, we will hold spots and not require a deposit for now. We'll kind of see where we are 3 or 4 months before the trip. And then we do plan also to offer 2 trips in 2022. We'll be announcing that schedule March the 1st, I think. We have got 3 more virtual experiences coming up between now and the end of the year. Next week, Tommaso Peroni, who's my partner in Puglia, is going to offer an introduction to Puglia, not so much to our week there, but to the region and the culture and the cuisine in general. And then we have 2 Christmas-related programs. Jennifer Dugdale, who's working with us in Provence. She and I are going to do a talk together on the Christmas traditions in Provence that are very, very special. And then December 10th, I'll do a talk on another Christmas traditions in another part of Europe, in the Alps and in the region of Alsace, which this is just spectacular Christmas and the areas that we visit on our Christmas tour. So we'll be announcing programs for January and February, probably in the middle of December. So thank you all again for being with us, and hope to see you next week. Thank you.